Hey all, tonight we're going to show you how to analyze your views within your model using Grasshopper. So before we start, we need to draw up a series of polylines which will be used in order to generate a mesh within the analysis. So to start, because we're working with curves, we need to use the the control point curve tool. So what we need to do is we need to trace around the building, like so. Or at least get a rough, it doesn't have to be exact, it's just as long as there's something to reference to. That's all we need to do, so pretty much. So once we finish with the curves, we just use the straight polyline, close it up, and using the close curve command, just make sure not working. So what we might have to do is actually what I can do is I can just add control points. So to add the control points, if you end up with something like a semicircle, so we just go add so we just insert control points, and then we can do as many as we want to. Actually didn't work, so yep, that did. So make sure you click, make sure you hit enter once you've just after you added them, otherwise it won't become valid. So yeah, we'll just do another one there. So we need 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we need 12 more. So we need around 12 control points. Yep. Yes, 12 control points. And then one more. You can either press enter or space, whatever you feel like. So once that's done, just a quick example of, so what we need to do is we need to go into our perspective, find wherever it is. We can try, I think it should be on, yeah, there it is there. Make sure it's on the right layer, so layer 2. And then we extrude curve. So to make it 3D, we extrude the curve, click, and then cap it. And yep, that is how we do a curve. So in the meantime, I will do the rest of them, and I will see you in the next part when we get our analysis ready. Okay, now that we've finished doing inserting our curves and polylines and then converting them into meshes through the tool one of the. Alright, so now that we've inserted our polylines, our meshes, our polylines and converted them into meshes, we've got our grasshopper file open, as you can see, ready to start our analysis. So to begin, the first thing we need to do is set our view to top and the view type to rendered. So this will be able, so with the rendered view, you'll be able to get a more graphical and clearer representation of the actual mesh, of the actual analysis results. So to begin, the first thing we've got to do is set our point, as you can see on the screen. So what we'll do is we will right click on our point, make sure it's in preview and enabled. So make sure it's both make sure both preview and enabled are on. And then to set the point, just click set one point. And then we'll do it in the center. Yep, so once that's in, that's pretty much it. So what we can do is we can set our, we can set our analysis precision, which will basically increase or decrease the amount of how far this analysis spectrum goes, how far the analysis spectrum is covered. So, for instance, if I had it in a low part, it'll only cover the threshold will only cover orange, red, and yellow. Whereas if I have it up there, the spectrum will be a lot higher. So if I have it up the top, it will basically include blue as well. So what we'll do is we'll increase it to about 100. Just hang on a second, might take a while because we are dealing grasshopper here after all. So just hang on a second, yeah, so the 100, we can make it 100. And another thing we're going to make sure is our size of the analysis and the rectangle are set. So they govern the overall size of the rectangle or rectangular grid that the analysis will be generated of. So after that, we'll just make sure and then after that we just generate our geometry, just set our geometry in order for it to generate. So first of all, we just set multiple, so we right click and we click on set multiple geometries, and then holding shift we just make our selection and then click enter. Should take a little bit just to load, so bear with us, and I will pause the video and return in a little bit. As we have zoomed in closer to our mesh, our grasshopper, our result panel, first thing we need to do is rescale our model and then place it onto the actual mesh. So what we need to do is so in the command bar we type in scale, and then we just rescale, draw a line down and then drag it up and then scale our model down accordingly. Give it a couple of minutes for it to reset. and then we just drag it onto the mat. Come on, any day now. So what we need to do is we just drag it onto the mat. And after that, we can reset our point. There we go. So once it's onto the mat and within range, it will end up displaying. So what we'll need to do first is reset our point within the center, and then turn off our geometry by selecting preview. Actually, we can turn it, we can just say, oops, enabled. Let's sit for a couple of seconds. Yep, so once that's in, we can just go ahead and turn the second layer off, containing our meshes generated in Rhino. Happened. I might have to drag it down. Yes. So if the meshes, if the map isn't showing, a heat map isn't showing in the bird's eye view, it's just a matter of what we need to do is you just need to drag it down. Particularly if you got your model, if your model's got a solid base, until it sort of clears, sort of is halfway through the mesh. Like so. Yeah, and there we go. Actually, I might drag it up a bit more, even though it's sort of showing the floor plan. I still like to have the bit of it still showing in 3D. So there we go. And then what we do is we just reset our point. Oops, so I'll have to remove those down too, so sorry about that, just might take a little bit, so just be with me. And then another thing with those, with our meshes that we've generated, they are the main things that are governing the shadows. So without those, our mesh shadow element within Grasshopper will display red, thus meaning that there's an error. So in order to rectify it, we just need to drag it within range. And then reset. what we need to do now is we just set multiple geometries. And then press enter. Let it sit for a couple of minutes. Shadows were not cast onto planes, so I might have to drag it up a little bit more yet again. Oh well, we'll ignore the issue, so anywho. So anywho, we just got, so we're pretty much finalized our analysis, as you can see. Despite the mesh shadow displaying red, which is indicating that the shadows aren't casting onto the plane, so we don't really need to worry about it. All we're concerned with the legend that we see on the different coloured legends that we see on the screen. So the lowest visibility is indicated in red, which is at 10%, while the highest should be around 90 to 100, which is supposed to be yellow. However, it's displaying some sort of a browny colour. So with that being said, that's all there is to it, pretty much. Hope you've enjoyed the video, and thank you for watching.